So I'll just give you a very brief overview of what we have been up to in Bulgaria. Again, thanks so much for all the speakers who joined us today and came to Sofia. Um, and this is part of our effort to to showcase the capabilities of LOFAR and tell everyone, as many people as possible, why it's great to have such uh, astronomical, astrophysical, geophysical infrastructure in Bulgaria. So, very briefly, I won't go into too much detail, but just to reiterate what the advantages we think at the Institute of Astronomy are for Bulgarian LOFAR station. Um, Certainly, there are many advantages, scientific, technological, engineering, and so on. Okay, I've translated this from forgot to delete the Bulgarian version. So undoubtedly, this is one of the most advanced radio telescopes in the world, and it will remain so for a long time, I think. Um, and it is actually an international collaboration, pan-European collaboration, as you've all heard today. And so it would be also a unique new view into the universe for Bulgarian scientists, for Bulgarian astronomers, since we don't have this currently. We don't have this capability of or history of radio astronomy, and it would, I think, would definitely bring when. I'm not saying if, I'm saying when, because we're very hopeful. Develop this infrastructure and join the International LOFAR Telescope. I think this would give us a very good leadership position in astronomical research in general. And it would provide collaborations with world experts in the field, knowledge transfer, and so on. All these good things that we desperately need. I mean, unfortunately, Bulgarian science in general is underfunded, and so having a versatile instrument such as LOFAR would be extremely helpful to sort of uh, not revive but enliven the research and our results. Um, in addition, something very important, something that policymakers are definitely looking for is the possibilities for training for development of young researchers, scientists, engineers in fields ranging from astrophysics, geophysics, to ICT, high performance computing, and so on. And I think this would bring about great synergies for and development for technological competencies, spin-off startups, and so on and so forth. Here's what I think are the advantages for LOFAR from Bulgaria joining. And I could be corrected, I'm not sure. But having Bulgarian LOFAR station would help increase the angular resolution of the telescope significantly. This would be both the easternmost and southernmost station, hopefully when we build it. And the position here is probably not correct, but we haven't picked a site or anything close to it yet. Um, so again, combining the position together with the other stations, this would extend the largest baselines of the telescope. And I think definitely Bulgaria would become a leader, an ambassador for radio astronomy in southeastern Europe. I mean, you can see this is sort of an empty patch here that I think we can sort of lead in a way. Um, and in addition, I think Bulgarian scientists can be involved in international collaborations in all different fields related to LOFAR. And last but not least, I think LOFAR would stimulate also local innovation that might be spun into the general LOFAR collaboration in terms of um, engineering, technological knowledge, or innovations. um, and applications in the telecommunications industry. Um, this is probably mostly for Bulgarian members of the audience, but very quickly, from what we know, each of these stations would take around 100 by 200 meters of land, and we need to be mindful of the connectivities that are required. Currently, they're about 3 gigabits per second, but I think once the LOFAR 2 is complete, this would grow to 6 to 10 gigabits per second. And as far as I'm aware, there are no specific requirements, although I don't know what you do when there's snow. Maybe we can talk about that. Just let it be. Okay, great. And in terms of a budget, this would be somewhere between 2 and 3 million euro. Of course, this is all just numbers in the air right now. But this should include hardware delivered by Astron, antennas, electronics, and includes the preparation of the field and communication infrastructure, road, and so on. The fence, anti-deer fence, very important. Sorry? Not too deer. Yeah. Hopefully no metal in the fence, yeah. Okay. So this is probably the most important slide that I have for you, and I think this would be the basis of our discussion. I would like it to be following this presentation. As Marty said, the creation, operation, maintaining of a LOFAR station in Bulgaria would require truly a consortium of interested institutions, and not just the institutions, but people inside the institutions who have an interest to use LOFAR to promote this type of science and technology, and education, of course. So that's why I've divided this into 4 types of partners that we're thinking to attract or to talk to. And of course, there's overlap between these. So in terms of science and education, we are the Institute of Astronomy. We have started this process, but also there is some interest from the departments of astronomy, meteorology, geophysics at Sofia University. I know the people at the Space Research Institute of the Academy of Sciences are also interested. The astronomy department of Schumann University, thanks for being with us today. They're also interested, and the National Institute of Geophysics, Geodesy, and Geography. So in terms of the research, I would say those are the main partners. Of course, in terms of research, but more on the technical engineering side related to radio electronics, we have already established a connection with the Technical University of Sofia. And for us, this is extremely important because at the Institute of Astronomy, we don't have a significant radio engineering capability. And so we would definitely, at least for the first 5 or 10 years or so, would need to have very close cooperation with the Technical University or some type of organization that is very capable in this respect. In terms of computation, the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics at Sofia University, the Institute of Informatics, Communication Technologies at the Academy of Sciences, and here actually at Sofia Tech Park, right across from this hall, there's a high-performance computing laboratory, which could also be involved in terms of developing algorithms and computational efforts. Because what do we do with all that data? We need to be very smart about it, increasingly so. In terms of outreach partners, there are many possibilities that we need to get them involved so they can also spread the word. And I think the more traction, the more interest such a project generates in the wider public, the more likely is that it'll get funded. So that's good. So there are a bunch of natural history museums here in Sofia. There's one here, in fact, at the park. there are the so-called People's Astronomical Observatories, and these go way back in the 70s and 80s, and there are local city observatories, which are still very popular with the general public in terms of outreach. They're also related to these are the municipal centers for the youth, which exist in many cities and towns in Bulgaria, so they could be also engaged, and in fact, they're very interested in being part of such a development. And there are also the media partners. There are specialized magazines, websites, National Geographic, BBC Knowledge, and a couple of local media that are specialized in science. And of course, extremely important, the business and administration partners. We definitely need to get in touch with telecommunication companies, software companies, technological startups, technology transfer offices at universities. These would be very important for transferring the knowledge, getting new knowledge, but also transferring knowledge out and keeping the whole ecosystem alive and developing. We would need to get the money somewhere, so we need to get real close with the Education and Science Ministry. The Communications Regulation Committee is a governmental body that also deals with the allocation of frequencies, and protection, and so on. So, and finally, as you said, municipalities and regional administrations are very important, and we've heard some examples of collaborations along those lines. So, we would like to reach out and trying to find common interests in order to develop this project, not just for astronomy, but also all types of other applications. Okay, so some of the specific steps that we've taken this year along these lines. First of all, we submitted an application for the inclusion of LOFAR Bulgaria station in the national roadmap for scientific research infrastructure at the end of August. And so this shows very briefly the first two phases: design and preparation, building and maintenance. I'm aware that these are probably not right, and this might stretch further out in time, but this is what we submitted anyway. And so there's an extremely preliminary budget. When you see a budget with just zeros in there, you know that it's very preliminary. So we've submitted a budget for almost 14 million Bulgarian level, which is about 7 million euro for 10 years, so 13 years more or less. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, you need to, planning this early is virtually impossible, but we need to have something that's submitted. And we're waiting to hear back about this application. If successful, we will start working on this sometime next year. And the Institute of Astronomy already has experience with such a big project that's part of the national roadmap. So hopefully it won't be that difficult. Okay? We have a website, yay, and a logo. So LOFAR-BG is a website that's dedicated to this project, the LOFAR Bulgarian station. We have a logo that's the design is based on the Bulgarian shivica. I don't know how I can translate. It's a motif that's goes embroidery motif, yeah. But it also kind of looks like the UV plane a little bit, maybe, or the positions of LOFAR stations. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look like an HBA. Yep. So it's currently only in Bulgarian, but we're going to translate this in English as well. We, as was mentioned before, we submitted a project to the twinning call, Horizon 2020. in mid-November, together with our colleagues from the Netherlands and Ireland, as well as the Technical University of Sofia. So it's a little under 900,000 euro. The project is centered around education, basically trainings for scientists and for engineers, for staff from both organizations to visit the Netherlands, to visit Ireland, and for experts from the Netherlands and Ireland to come to Sofia, to come to Bulgaria, and to do trainings for a larger audience of interested participants. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. So that's one thing. And there is this wonderful seminar for which I thank you all for coming. So this is hopefully the beginning of spreading the word and what we are doing. So as I mentioned, we submitted the stellar proposal. There was also an ERA chairs proposal, part of the widening program, that is also related to the LOFAR. This was submitted for Sofia University. And if successful, part of this work will also involve LOFAR developments. What we need to do, what we need to focus now on, is presenting the LOFAR Bulgaria vision to all these potential partners. Just basically do meetings with people. The application I mentioned for inclusion in the National Roadmap for Research Infrastructure. If you have ideas for locations for a LOFAR station, let me know, let us know. We need to also be talking to local administrations and municipalities. Something that I hope we will be able to discuss right now is the creation of a LOFAR Bulgaria consortium and how this happens. And I hope we can get some info from those who have already gone through this process. So this is all I have. Thank you very much.